Welcome back to Rumi Gold, where quiet mastery begins. What if the calmest man in the room was always the richest one? What if everything you chased with force was actually waiting to arrive? If only you'd clear the way. What if your next breakthrough wasn't about moving faster, but standing still long enough to see what's already here? What if the more you tried to command life, the more you blocked what was trying to flow toward you? What if stillness was not the opposite of abundance, but the doorway to receiving it? Today we explore wealth through stillness, not as a tactic, but as a truth. Where have you been hustling, even when your body said stop? Where in your days have you poured out so much energy that there's no room for life to refill you? Can you remember a moment when you tried, planned, strategized, and only felt emptier? Notice the tension in your hands, the dull ache in the center of your chest. The mind spins. Late at night, searching for one more angle, one more way to make it work. You're not alone. Most men carry this silent fatigue. It feels productive, but only because you've never tasted the power of true stillness. Let that breathe. Imagine a river. It travels miles, crossing fields and canyons, not by force, but by following its natural path. Water does not climb uphill to find the ocean. It lets gravity do the heavy lifting. It meets every stone with patience. It moves, but never hurries. Every obstacle only shapes its journey. Now contrast that with how most people chase wealth, climbing always up, always tense, muscles locked, mind racing, faith shrinking with every missed attempt. We push harder, but the harder we push, the tighter life gets. The door closes. Money, opportunities, love, they all sense that tension. They respond to your energy long before your words. You already feel it. This isn't about motivation. There's another way. Stillness is not laziness. It is space made, sacred, cleared out. It invites wealth to move toward you, to see you're ready to hold it. Most never stop moving long enough to receive what's theirs. That's the discipline. Sit in the quiet just a little longer. Notice how much is trying to reach you as soon as you stop trying to command it all. Let that land. There's nothing to prove. In stillness, you become available, not desperate, not frantic, not empty. Let the rest soften. Stay here. Most of us have been taught the same script. Work more, push harder, do everything you can, and the world will pay you back. It's what our fathers did. Their fathers too. You pack the hours, punch the clock, press every pedal until something gives. On paper, it sounds strong, but look closer. All this hustle, most of the time it's anxiety, wearing a work shirt. Imagine a man named Carter. He wakes up before sunrise, answers messages in the shower, skips breakfast to reply to more. 12 hours, 15 hours, even weekends vanish to the grind. 90 hours a week, and his money hasn't moved. Bank account, flat, his breath, tight, his fists always half-clenched. Even sleep feels like another job. Carter tells himself he's a builder, but every nail he hammers just echoes through the same empty frame. He can't see the scarcity behind the hammer, but he feels it in his chest. The house isn't growing. The hours are. This isn't uncommon. We wear busyness like a badge. We tell ourselves, if I'm moving, I'm becoming. But all too often, movement is just noise. Martial artists know this. More punches don't win a fight. The right one, delivered with relaxed focus, changes everything. Stillness, presence. That's where power gathers. The men who keep swinging, 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 end up tired, not triumphant. Let that echo. It's so easy to measure our days by output, by castles made of frantic bricks. But a rushed builder builds a crooked house. You already know this. The body becomes the mirror. Your vagus nerve, meant to tune you into peace, gets stuck on red alert. Your nervous system begins scripting scarcity in every breath. Worthiness gets tied to exhaustion. And the universe hears only one signal: neediness, lack, striving. When you chase hard, you signal, "I don't have yet," and life responds, echoing what you believe. This isn't about being right. Let's let this land. Stillness isn't laziness. In craft, as in life, the sharpest chisel moves slowly, carving precisely what's meant. When you move, what if all the answers you chased were waiting behind a closed door you've forgotten how to open? What if the truest momentum looked nothing like movement at all? What if everything you think you need is already sitting quietly behind the noise? And what if the one advantage no competition can copy is your willingness to stop? Today we're sitting with a truth so simple, most men walk right past it. Stillness isn't just pause. It's the foundation under every real kind of wealth. When you stop chasing, your mind stops drowning. And in that quiet, something opens. That's the discipline. Let's bring it even closer. Picture a man starting his morning not by grabbing the phone, not by getting dragged into urgent messages, but by closing his eyes, sitting, feet on the ground, 10 minutes. He listens to the sound of his own breath, letting the chaos fall outside like rain hitting a window. The emails will wait. The world can hold on. In that pause, after the third or fourth breath, a single clear idea rises, something he could never force by grinding all day. That one gentle thought might pivot his entire year. Let that land. Or think about how most people approach decisions, especially about money. Check the stats, refresh the app, debate yourself to exhaustion. Now, try this. Sit back, place a hand right on your chest, and let your breath slow down. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. 5. Then 10 minutes, just breathing. Then, without solving or searching, wait for some quieter answer to surface. It always does. It just needs room to be heard. You already know this. Nature models this for us, too. No tree tries to grow fruit in the wind. First, roots dig deep in silent earth. Only after silence does growth become visible. The richest soil is always silent. The field before rain is always the most honest. That's the texture of inner wealth. This isn't about motivation. So here's the practice, not as a lesson, but a doorway you can walk through right now. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Sit upright, feet on the ground, hands relaxed, eyes either closed or softened. Breath in slowly through the nose for a count of 4. Hold for 2. Exhale out the mouth for 6. Repeat. Don't override thoughts. Let them float past. Each time you drift, return to the breath. If restlessness comes, greet it. It's just old habit trying to solve. You do not have to fix or figure anything. Just breathe. 10 minutes. That's it. You're letting the roots grow down, not reaching up. Afterward, notice what changed. Maybe nothing dramatic. Maybe everything feels different in a way you can't prove on paper. That's alignment, not passivity. Most things worth having grow in the dark before they blossom in the sun. There's nothing to prove. There's a difference between chasing what you want and letting what's true come to you. Most of us grow up thinking receiving is a reward, something you earn once you've hustled. once you've impressed enough people. But that's not how it works, not in the life that lasts. Receiving is not a finish line you cross. It's not a prize you negotiate for at the end of a deal. It's a state of being, like becoming a vessel. Let that echo. A man spends years acting from I need to. I need to grow my business. I need to find the next client. I need to prove I'm of value. Every morning he wakes up, already behind, nervous system on edge, mouth dry. Does it ever end? No, because the pattern is scarcity wrapped as discipline. Now see the shift. That same man wakes up, sits at the edge of his bed, and before he moves, breathes. He lets the cold air fill his chest. He remembers the chalice, the open vessel. He does not chase the light. He holds space for it to pour in. His first move is not to reach, but to receive. This isn't about motivation. A coach who says I need to get clients always chases. A coach who lives I already am the one who clients seek becomes the magnet. That's identity. Not force, but alignment. Can you feel the difference in your stomach? One is scramble, one is calm, steel instead of sand. A CEO who needs to fill the pipeline becomes the man who others sense is worth trusting. Not because of what he says, because of who he is in a quiet room. This is not performance, it's stillness, fire in the furnace that never flickers. The vessel, not chasing the light, but waiting, unmoved, open. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. Identity is chosen every day. When you walk into a meeting, when you check your balance, when you sit at the kitchen table in silence. Receiving is not luck. It's not a moment. It's a posture as old as stone. It's noticing you are the vessel, not the seeker. Each breath, a homecoming. Let's make this real. 8 vows, spoken twice. Hell, what if most of what you crave isn't lacking at all, but leaking out through tiny cracks each day? What if every time you rushed the start of your morning, you trained your body to panic instead of receive? What if the difference between stress and stillness was one small ritual done on purpose, with no audience but you? And what if abundance had nothing to do with how much you chase, and everything to do with how well you anchor? I'll be direct. Awareness, on its own, floats away. If you want to hold abundance, you can't just think about holding it. You need anchors. Little weights dropped into your day. Rituals that catch your attention and remind you. Wealth doesn't come from force. It lands when you're still enough to notice. Let's drop into 3. First, every morning, just 10 minutes. Sit, feel the inhale roll in through the nose. Let the belly lift. Set a timer if you need, but don't watch it. That's the discipline. No music, no task, list, just your hands, your seat, your breath. Every breath is a signal that says it's safe to receive. You train your whole system to expect flow, not scramble, not clutching. There's nothing to prove. Second, the pricing prayer. Say you're about to send out an offer, a price, a number. Pause. Put both feet on the floor. Breathe. Whisper under your breath. May this number honor me, and honor the one who receives. It's not a trick, it's a reset. A way to remind yourself commerce isn't combat. It's a sacred exchange, if you let it be. Let that land. Third, the nightly ledger. The world files transactions, but you close the day. Find a beat of quiet, a corner desk, the edge of your bed. Open your notebook. Write what went out today, what came in, even small things. Don't judge, don't rush. The pen moves smoother at this hour. The room softens. bills, tips, a meal paid for, a surprise deposit, each one gets a line. On the page, money stops being threat or trophy becomes a guest. You welcome it, thank it, watch it leave. The act is part ceremony, part confession, a way of saying, I saw what entered, I honored what exited. It's the closing, the gentle lock on the door, telling the house you're safe until tomorrow. That print of ink is presence. No drama, no hiding. You already know this. Abundance doesn't start loud. It starts with rituals that slow you down, not speed you up. That's the discipline. There's something about letting quiet integrate. After everything we've covered, it isn't complexity that changes you. It's the willingness to pause and feel even one layer deeper. Hustle will always promise you the next tool, the next strategy, another crack to fill, another wall to build. But the real shift begins when you let the noise slow down, when stillness starts to sound less like emptiness and more like wealth. That's the difference few notice. Stillness is not the lack of movement. It's a signal to open your hands and let something richer arrive. You might remember moments on an ordinary morning, before you check your messages, before you chase. That quiet is a form of prosperity. The man who knows how to wait inside himself for even 10 breaths finds resources arriving where force never could. Let that land. You don't need to outthink, outcompete, outwork anyone. It's about returning to where wealth already lives, inside the open vessel of your body, inside the clear decision, inside the ritual that grounds you each evening. Every prayerful payment, every